love it.
My wonderful guest today is one of Broadway's finest and much-loved agents. And I am sure he is missing Broadway terribly right now. And so I thought some Judy Garland and Give My Regards to Broadway would cheer him up. As part of the BRS Gate Talent Agency, Steven looks after so many of your beloved Broadway favorites and has a history in theater, film, and television that spans over 40 years. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a Broadway agent? Well, now's your chance to find out and hear some of his favorite stories and memories. Please welcome the wonderful Steven Unger.
Hey, hello.
I thought you'd love some Judy Garland.
Yeah, love it, love it.
Give your regards to Broadway. Oh my God, how are you feeling, Steven? I mean, you must be just beside yourself with seeing Broadway shut. Oh!
Okay. You know who that was? That was Martin Gage.
Was that Martin?
Oh my God.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll let Martin call you. But will you give him my love?
I should have done that. I don't know how to shut off those things. Okay. Now my phone got messed up.
I'll teach you.
You have to, a lot of things. Okay, hold on. Is that better?
There you go.
It's not going to stay. Hold on.
We'll get you a light ring as well one day.
I
right,
know,
Thomas?
just like an actor. Wait a second.
Yep, just like your actors have to do. They can tease you now.
Totally. Okay, hopefully that doesn't fall. You know, it's bizarre. Like I don't know if we were just naive, but we kept hearing, you know, things were getting weird in New York and around the world. And, you know, they kept saying, Broadway's going to keep going. You know, Broadway, we're not going to stop. We're not going to, you know, we're going to. Then all of a sudden it became, oh, maybe we'll make it to the end of the month. And then little by little, we all started hearing about shows where there were a lot of people out. People were just calling out, not feeling great. And,
yeah.
But we never thought it was going to become this pandemic that it became. And I think it was that Thursday, the show Moulin Rouge, for some reason, does Thursday matinees. And they had called the cast down right before the matinee and said, we're not going to do the matinee. A couple of people in the show have symptoms of this thing called COVID. But there was no testing or, you know, we weren't able to, like, it wasn't like it is now. So they canceled the matinee. And then 4 hours later, they canceled Broadway and said, we'll all be back in, you know, 2 weeks. And then that got extended. And that got extended again. And then it got extended again. And now they're saying, you know, they've announced it till May, but it's going to be longer.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I would think the autumn, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping like that every show's going to have to go back into rehearsal. So
yes, I was going to say, after not being it for a year, you're going to have to go back and brush up.
Change things because, you know, there's certain things that we did pre-COVID on stage that may not be safe or comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, think about it, like, you know, just people singing right up against each other and in certain shows where people are, you know, dancing and sweating and partnering and it's going to be a lot. I don't know how. I don't have an idea how they're going to do it safely yet. I really, you know, it's just hard to imagine that. And I think
there's dressing rooms as well. Those dressing rooms are so tightly cramped.
Think about it.
Hallways.
Yeah, I mean, the dressing rooms and sharing a dressing room and running down the stairs and holding onto the rail.
Everything.
Other people did. And quick changes and having somebody in your face, you know, slapping on a new wig or makeup or something. It's going to be it has to be well thought out, obviously. And the other part that is people keep asking me, like, when is it going to come back? How is it going to come back? Part of it is going to be the government, you know, where the government says you can open at 50% or you can open at 35%. And my guess is, like, some producers will go, we'll have to wait. We can't run a show at 35% capacity, you know. And for the actors as well, you know what, it's a horrible feeling to sit out in an audience and see a theater of 2,000 people with 90 people wearing masks, probably.
Yeah, wearing mask, and then the feedback that you'd have to have like the fake clapping or something just to give the
Right.
actors feedback on
Or to have
stage.
blow up dolls or dummies or whatever, like they're doing in the sports arenas, cardboard cutouts of like audience members. But,
Yes.
but you having, performed on Broadway and on tour, I mean, you get that response from the audience. And when there's not a real audience there,
It's
that
horrible.
laugh line or that, waiting for that pause, the pause, that kind of thing. It's,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
crickets
very
is the
strange.
worst thing. It's like tumbleweed. Oh, that joke didn't land.
Right. But
Yeah,
when you walk out and you go, wow, there's no one here
yeah.
today,
It's going to be very
which
hard.
happens in a lot of shows, and it happens, a cold February Tuesday night.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel so bad for all the performers. Did they get any help, governmental help or anything?
There was, and there still is. I mean, there's so many different things. I mean, Equity was helping at the beginning. The Actors Fund has been amazing, and I will put that out there right now.
Right.
If anybody can give to the Actors Fund or join any of the Actors Fund benefits that are posted online, they're doing so many virtual things. The Actors Fund has been there for everybody, from down to, to the agents, to the casting people, to, the crew. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
front of
been
house
front of
tickets.
house, those ushers.
Yeah,
Somebody was just telling me, I don't think ushers are going to hand out playbills anymore because no one
of
wants
course.
to touch a playbill. And yeah,
Oh,
things that we took for granted. And so I don't know. I mean, I
yeah.
don't know. I think hopefully we will, here in New York, they're opening other venues now, clubs. So like places like Caroline's Comedy Club or 54 Below are going to be able to open at 33% capacity.
When does,
I don't know. I don't know what that, I don't
who
know how.
who decides 33%?
The government that
But
came from our governor. Take it
Governor
over.
Governor Cuomo, who was the
Cuomo,
hero and is now not so shiny and
not so
bright.
much a hero anymore. Exactly.
Yeah.
But and in a large arena, like they're doing it here at like Madison Square Garden or the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, where they seat 15,000, and they're allowed to have 10%. So
Right.
that's still 1,500 people or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's different than having a theater that seats 1,000 and a Broadway theater and having 80 people or 90 people, or I don't know.
Yeah. And
It's
those seats are so squished together. I mean, you're literally on top of each other.
and then the other thing that has come up is like air quality, which we've all heard about. These big office buildings having to upgrade to new systems.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing about that. I don't know what some of these theaters that you've been in,
They don't have that.
They don't have that. The mold is growing, and those dressing rooms have been painted, millions of times over the hundreds of years. And
Yeah.
so it's all of those things that you think about, like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
If anything's a petri dish, it's a Broadway theater.
Well, you think about it, like, in one, it's like going to school. I mean, you're all in a classroom together, and then one person gets the flu, another person's going to get, or a cold, or somebody, and now we're hearing about, like, 3 people are touching the same prop in a scene. And
Yes.
all of that will, hopefully with the vaccine, and hopefully with more that we learn about this and how to stay safe. And I think the other thing that has come up is if they're going to put in the money to re-rehearse a show and reopen a show, they have to know that they're going to be able to run that show. So the minute somebody gets sick and there's COVID again, or going through the
insurance, how do you insure a show? How do you insure the actors now?
Yeah. So I think there's so many factors in it, and it is different than playing basketball. Sorry to all you basketball fans, but playing basketball in a 20,000 stadium is different than And then you've got your musicians,
Yes.
you know, which are in the pit being spit upon by
by the actors. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
they'll have to have like a guard, I would think, built over the top of them, but then that's going to stop the sound.
So right, so do you put like those plastic shields like you see in a supermarket? I don't know. Yeah, it's very I know Equity, I know the Broadway Theater League. They've all been like, everybody's been working at like, how do we safely come back? And when this all started, it was like, how do we keep the audience safe? And then all of a sudden, I believe it was the president of Equity put out a really informative email saying, how do we keep the actors safe? You know, nobody's talking about like that. And that was the beginning of this whole thing, is like, well, I don't want to sit in a theater. I don't want to sit in one of those cramped seats. But then it became like, but what about backstage? What about like walking through that stage door? How many people touch that doorknob? How many people, you know, all of that stuff.
You're going to have someone on the door wiping things down, and the corridors are so tiny. You just, I mean,
and the restroom facilities, you know, everybody thinks Broadway is like those theaters are all glamorous, and they're, you know, and you know, you've seen the star dressing rooms in the St. James Theater where, you know, the first time I think I was in there, and I was like, they said, this is where Carol Channing was in Hello Dolly, and I was like, really? This was it? You know? I mean, it's not like walking into, you know, like some fabulous hotel suite. They're just not.
Would she have had Nathan Lane's dressing room, or would she have had Katie Huffman's?
I would have thought Katie's probably
small.
Right off there. But you know, that whole thing where like Matthew was in the basement. Right.
And Nathan was up.
Nathan was up. I'm not sure if they reconfigured things, and you know, but I remember going with a client to pick out her dressing room, and it was a play, King Hedley, at the, I think back then it was the Virginia Theater. It's now the August Wilson, and it was Leslie Adams. I'm not going to throw out a lot of names, but I love her.
Oh, come on, we need the names.
Okay, and you know, I had been backstage, but never really paid attention, because usually going to see somebody, you're in the corridor more or whatever. And I was like, you know, we were going to pick out her star dressing room, and it was like, I remember the house manager said, you're going to be shocked, because she had just come from doing Thoroughly Modern Millie at the Marquee, which was modern and new, and you know, had a separate dressing room and a great bathroom, and I remember we were like, this is it. And the house manager like rambled off, like said, Helen Hayes did this play here, and Julie Harris did a play here, and this is the room they use. And I was like,
okay.
But I think it was different back in the day. I don't think, I know now when I do a contract, and you know, we negotiate things for a dressing room. You negotiate repainting, recarpeting, new furniture, you know, refurbishing fees, so that you can bring in your own, you know, have somebody come in and zhuzh up your dressing room. Yeah,
well, you're going to live in it for a whole year plus.
Hopefully, you know, hopefully.
You're going to, you know, God willing, you're going to spend more of your life there than you are at home.
Right. So it's shocking, and to think that that's what, you know, but everybody's like, oh, it must be so beautiful back there, and I'm like,
oh no, it's the most least